Okay. All right. Oh man. Okay. So we are live. Welcome to anyone that is joining us. Uh, Probably not going to have a high turnout, I don't assume. But then again, you never know. Never know. So okay. Hey, at least we have at least two folks in here. No problem. We're just going to keep it going. Truth be told, I was about to cancel this, but I thought, hey, if you guys don't have any big 4th of July plans, want to come join Psych Guy, talk about a case that's very interesting, that at least I think so. I'm sure a lot of folks out there do also. Hey, yes. And thanks for anyone who's joining us. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when I start date. Hey, Linda, how's it going? No, I did that on purpose just to see if maybe some folks in the UK prime time might be showing up, and looks like they're slowly coming. So welcome, guys. Good to see you guys. No problem. Good to see you, Bulldog Mom. Good to see you, Heather, that Grifford Live. How's it going? Love seeing all you good people here. And to be truly honest with you guys, I am not even dressed up. I had to run some errands earlier. And I'm going to I kind of know a little about the case, but I'm going to kind of learn along the way. So bear with me, but we're going to get through this. The other option was to cancel and reschedule, but I know some of you might have put some time aside for today. And we're not going to do that. We're going to just keep it going. A lot to talk about in this case here, I think so, at least. So as we wait for more folks coming in, we're going to go ahead and scroll in. Hey, Linda DeGraff, good to see you, my friend. Bulldog Mom, Heather, good to see you. Jane Dell, all right. Yep, today's on might be a little tough. Yeah, exactly. A little tough, but we'll keep it going. All right. Well, with that being said, I guess we'll go ahead and start then. And as always, welcome. I love everyone here. So this case is pretty much, as all cases we discuss are very kind of interesting types of cases. A lot of these cases we discuss here on this channel, we kind of border on the ethical sort of boundaries, the phrase of ethics. And this case, nonetheless, is one of them that does. It's a very sad case. It's a case involving a child in the UK, United Kingdom. I believe he's from Essex, which, to be honest with you, I don't know exactly where that fits on the map of Great Britain, but I do know I believe it's a county. But nonetheless, they're in England, and it's a really tragic case. It's a family's worst nightmare. So briefly, what happened, from my understanding, I'm going to look at my notes here, is that on April the 7th, 2022, the mother of Archie Battersbee, and as you notice, my thumbnail's blurred out. I'm not going to put any video, nothing like that, because the poor child right now is fighting for his life. So on April 7th, 2022, I must speak a little slower too, because I know some folks are kind of listening in the background. I got some messages saying they listen to my stuff while they kind of do their tasks. So I'll talk a little slow here. So April 7th, 2022, which is 3 months ago, the mom of Archie Battersbee, who's a 12-year-old young lad, really nice looking guy. He was very, very active also. Prior to this tragedy, he was very, very involved in gymnastics, very fit. If you Google and see pictures of, he's very, very fit, very active, athletic, more so than the usual 12-year-old child. Of course, what 12-year-old child isn't active, but engaged in a lot of activities, a lot of sports, gymnastics. He was also training for MMA, which surprisingly here in the States, I don't think MMA, I think it starts at adulthood. I didn't realize that you can actually train for MMA early on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that happens also in the States, but he was actually training for a fight, an MMA fight. So I don't know if they have like MMA for minors. I'm not an MMA specialist, but anyways, and we'll get to all the details. Don't worry about that. Linda, I see your comments here. And happy holidays. So anyway, so what happened was on April the 7th, 3 months ago, from what I heard from the videos, there's an interview with the mom, and mom was saying that I guess she was having a conversation with her son, and they were just having a casual conversation, nothing out of the norm, no red flags, no, it didn't have anything to do. It doesn't seem like, of course, I have not, interviewed anyone. I have not. This is not my patient. I'm not having interviewed the mother. So this is just me just kind of taking a step aside and looking into this case. But from what it sounds like he was very active. There's no red flags, no signs of depression or nothing like that. Just a healthy conversation. I think they were talking about just doing some tasks, or like the mom was saying, hey, can you bring down your the family rabbit? Can you bring it down from upstairs to downstairs? I'm not sure if they had to take the rabbit to the vet or what's about, or maybe the rabbit's cage was downstairs. I don't know, but the rabbit was upstairs. And so it was a casual kind of conversation. Next thing you know, the mother got a phone call, and, understandably so, it can happen to anyone. I mean, when you get phone calls, you really don't think twice. You pick it up, you're talking. Anyways, the boy was upstairs. So I guess the mom, downstairs, got done with their phone call. And then she noticed that upstairs, right at the edge of the stairs, was the rabbit, the family rabbit. And she went upstairs and was wondering what the, and that's when she discovered her son, 12-year-old son, again, like a parent's worst nightmare. Can happen to anyone, and God bless him and his family and everyone involved in this case. It's a very, very hard case. It's a hard pill to swallow here. But anyway, so he was discovered with a ligature around his neck, and I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows. I may be wrong, but I'm not quite sure, to answer your question, Linda, earlier. How long was that ligature around his neck? Again, she was on the phone. I'm not sure how long her phone call was. It could have been 2 minutes. It could have been 10 minutes. I don't know the specifics, but nonetheless, it was discovered. And I don't know if he was completely cyanotic. From what the interview said, the mother said that he was pale. Nonetheless, of course, when she discovered his body with the ligature wrapped around, and she was, understandably freaking out. So she just ran downstairs, was shouting and pleading for help and whatnot. And thankfully, a neighbor was walking and saw, and they came in, from my understanding, and dialed, I believe 911 over in the UK is 999 over there. Same thing, to dial for emergency services. So mother was doing CPR while the poor child was laying there. To use mother's words, the lips were drained of color. I guess she managed to take the ligature out. I don't know if it was a rope or a belt. Apparently, it was said that it was from a TikTok challenge. I'm not familiar with TikTok. I don't go on TikTok. I don't know if, I know last week we discussed a very highly emotional case similar to where it involved a TikTok challenge. I guess that's the new trend where kids are now doing these TikTok challenges and testing the limits, seeing if they can test the limits. So anyways, nonetheless, it was a ligature. His lips were drained of color. She luckily, she snapped it. And to use her words, again, I saw in an interview, I guess he felt almost like dead weight. I guess he fell down. And while she's doing CPR, that's when she was doing CPR. I'm sorry, I got the order wrong. And then the neighbor called the 911. And then the father, I'm not sure if it's a biological father or separate, it doesn't matter. The father basically took over and for CPR. And that's when the ambulance came and took him to the hospital. And apparently in the hospital, he was there for about 3 hours. From what the mother said, about approximately maybe a couple hours. When you're in the hospital, you can't really count on time at that point. Time is endless. I would imagine. So, but he was there in the local hospital for several hours, and there the doctors there were basically showing signs of encouragement and so on, and talking about according to the mom. That his eyes were reactive, and it's possibly an operation. I'm guessing like a craniotomy to sort of maybe get the swelling off the brain, relieve the pressure. And the mother claims that he was breathing on his own. Again, this is the mother's words in an interview. I'm not sure exactly how accurate. The statements maybe was misconstrued, but nonetheless, there was several signs of optimism for the whole family. So they were pretty happy at that point, the entire family. But the hospital then nonetheless said, and understandably so, we see this here in America. There's something called EMTALA, where you want to go ahead and have individuals in your facility to provide the appropriate services. And if you don't have all the services to provide that particular patient, you've got to transfer to a hospital that can well equip your patient, right? And so I guess the local hospital, being a little smaller hospital, realized that, well, this might be a little bit more of a complicated case, even though we might be able to, I don't know, the decision was made basically to go ahead and transfer, understandably so, to a hospital with more resources. And that's probably seen more than likely more types of these cases and have the sort of equipment to handle this type of case that Archie was dealing with. So, understandably so, there's transfer to this major hospital. I'm not familiar with London. I went there when I was a little younger, but my parents just showed me around, I don't know, the Tower of London and Big Ben, just the touristy stuff. We didn't really, and we visited a family there, and we didn't, I don't know the details about the ins and outs, but apparently I'm guessing it's a major hospital, something called the Royal London. I'm not sure if that's the major hospital, main hospital, and maybe one of them in London. But according to the mother stated that I guess within 10 minutes, one of the doctors told her that he is not going to survive. Again, this is mother's testimony, just in an interview and so on that I saw earlier. He was, put on life support, and he's been there since 3 months now. And during this time, it's been a very, very sort of a chaotic for the parents and the mom. And the hospital said that, I guess the mother's words were saying that the hospital in London just are saying that there's really no hope for him, more or less. That it's going to be hard for him to kind of turn it around because he's essentially brain dead or brainstem dead. And but mother is and the family is pushing back and saying, hold on here. Well, we haven't even given it much time. B, well, how do you know he's dead? Because he's holding, like when we go there, he's holding on to my finger, squeezing my fingers, his heart is beating, and so on. So it's become a battle now between the facility, the doctors, and versus the parents, in terms of the doctors saying, okay, he's brain dead. There's really no point in continuing on his continuous, him in life support. He's hooked up to a ventilator and so on, but there's no point because, he's brainstem dead. The brainstem is located at the very, very back of the brain, right where it connects to the spinal cord, and it basically controls the primitive type, basic, I guess, reflexes and I guess the basic sort of functions, breathing, heart regulation. So the doctors are basically saying that there's really no point prolonging. It's just not going to turn things around. And the parents, and he's only surviving because he's on this ventilator, the parents are disagreeing. So there's really more twists and turns into this. We're going to go ahead and kind of delve more into this here. I want to look at the timeline here. And I'm looking at the timeline here because that's very, very important, because I'm just reading my notes here because there's a lot that's happened kind of like more in depth here. So on April 7th, he was injured during the accident and taken to, South End Hospital is the local hospital. Then April the 8th, he was transferred to the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel, where he remains in a coma. And between April the 8th and April the 26th, the doctors were doing their evaluations daily. They're rounding on him and hooked to the ventilator. The doctors at some point realized that, he's probably, brain dead. And they actually pushed for brainstem testing, which is basically one of the big tests to determine if you're brain dead. For diagnosis, well, first off, for diagnosis of brain death, number one, a person must be unconscious and fail to respond to outside stimulation, which he clearly fits that, right? a person's heartbeat and breathing can only be maintained using a ventilator. Here he is, Archie, on a ventilator. And yes, his heartbeat, of course, is, he's breathing by the ventilator through the ventilator, and his heart's beating. Okay. And lastly, there must be clear evidence that there's been serious brain damage has occurred, and it can't be cured. And the main test really that needs to be done in order, and I'm a psychiatrist. I'm not a ICU doc. I'm not an interventionalist, nothing like that. But from my understanding, just from my years of my rotations back in the day, and don't worry, we'll get to your comments shortly here. I'd like to see what you guys think about this. But in order for a patient to be properly brain dead, clinically dead, the diagnosis is mainly clinical. I know now the courts have gotten involved too, and we'll get into that also shortly here. Don't worry, we'll tackle all these aspects of this case. But mainly to declare someone truly brain dead, it's mostly a clinical diagnosis. And you can go ahead and evaluate and do basics, I guess, cranial function, nerve tests, and so on and so forth. But the main thing, aside from just bedside tests, but is also you want to go ahead and do an assessment of the brainstem reflexes and what's called an apnea test. The apnea test is very, very crucial in terms of determining, okay, is he brain dead or is he not? It's basically like also known as a brainstem test. But somewhere, interesting enough, is somewhere between, just on a timeline here, between April the 8th and April 26th is that for some reason, I'm not quite sure exactly the main reason, but the mother refused to get the apnea test, refused to get this main big test to determine if he is, completely, brain dead or whatnot. So then I guess the doctors went ahead and went to the courts and said, hey, look, we're concerned about this patient here. He is sitting here in an ICU. He's unresponsive. We think clinically he's comatose. We think clinically he's dead. Yes, we've done clinical bedside exams, and we want to do an apnea test to confirm that he is dead, brain dead, completely. But the mother said no. What do we need to do? So they went to the judge, the courts. We need to know basically, is this patient still alive, or is he dead, or is there still some hope that he's alive? So they basically their hands were tied, so they had to go to the courts. And the courts basically on May the 13th, let me just double check here and see if this is correct. It's a very important time. Yes, they basically said that yes, the brainstem test should be carried out. They favored into the doctors. They basically said, yes, we need to go ahead and get this test. It's a very important test to be done. We have to go ahead and confirm is he brain dead or not. So fast forward after May the 13th, on May 16th, two specialists, they tried to administer the brainstem function test, including the apnea test, but they were unable to. They were able to do what's called a peripheral nerve stimulation test, which is a precursor to that, but not the official apnea test. But nonetheless, they couldn't complete it for some reason. And long story short, they still kind of came to the same conclusion that, okay, he's responding, but it's maybe, just primitive reflexes here and there. And when you're like hooked up on a ventilator, sure, your heart will beat, you'll have involuntary movements and so on. The machine's keeping him alive, but they weren't convinced. In fact, they also did MRI scans, which showed just damage to his brain, vital parts of his brain, necrotic lesions, and so on. So they basically said, okay, more than likely he's, just based on at least the MRIs, these other tests. Sure, we can get the apnea test, but of these other tests and just his clinical presentation, he's not going to make it. He's just unfortunately not going to make it. So the parents were not accepting that, and they basically said, let's continue the treatment. His heart's beating. He's squeezing our hands and so on. He's a 12-year-old boy. He's young. He can go ahead and recover and so on. They wanted to continue. And a lot of parents, probably not to blame the parents or anything like that, mother, but who wouldn't be in also what the mom was feeling at the time, the parents, that, hey, let's keep fighting. it's understandable denial. So they want to push further. So the doctors, of course, and I don't know how exactly it is in the United Kingdom. I do know in the UK, I do know here in America, a lot of, I'm not going to lie, but a lot of, well, it shouldn't be the main decision, but there are factors of monetary factors and reasons of why, hey, you know, this patient's here on a ventilator for how long now? Many, many weeks, not improving. I know in America, I've seen cases where it becomes like, oh, it's a bed issue. Well, this bed right here is laying, or this bed's being taken up. Another patient use it. Plus, also it's a cost issue where it just adds more and more the longer the hospital stays are. It adds some more costs and so on. I know here in America, from my understanding, is that there would probably have been more, just because it's more profit driven, as opposed to the United Kingdom and other places. Not saying it's got a perfect system itself, but it is a little bit more socialized than America. So fortunately, in this situation, being in a country like United Kingdom, well, it is NHS funding, social. Maybe there won't be as much. There's still gonna be pressure. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as privatized as, say, in America. Just talking to other colleagues and doctors who work in places such as the United Kingdom, or France, or Canada. Again, not saying their healthcare is better than ours or vice versa, but I was just kind of just bring up a secondary point here. But anyway, so the mother said, no, I don't want to, you know, I'm sorry. We're not going to go ahead and pull the, you know, we're going to continue the treatment. And so, so basically, despite, you know, the doctors not being able to do the apnea test. So what happened then later was they went back to the high court on the 13th because the mother was refusing to accept any more further testing, didn't want to do any further MRIs, nothing, just wanted to go ahead and let time do its healing and so on. So a judge ruled on June the 13th that actually ruled in favor for the doctor, saying, look, Archie is more or less dead. And even if he weren't dead, he is just so far off in regards to just so, I don't know, best word, just very, very catastrophically injured, I guess is the best way to put it, that it's not in his best interest to further prolong and get any more treatment, especially when the doctors, the experts are saying it's futile to go and move forward. And I believe they also got other consultations with other area hospitals around. So there's other also colleagues chiming in also, but the judge basically ruled in favor of the doctor, saying, okay, you know, but the parents immediately didn't accept it, and they appealed. And just recently, last week, the higher courts ruled mom's favor, saying, okay, well, maybe there's more into this. Hold on. Let's just for now go ahead and continue. We need to look in terms of other legal factors, consent. What was Archie's religious views? Did the clinicians administer the correct test? And is this brain death test that they did or couldn't do, is that a legitimate way to a certain, you know, death? So this is where we stand now. And it's really tough because I get both sides. I mean, brainstem damage, it will result in more than likely apnea. And like I said before, the ventilator will kind of serve as sort of the body in terms of, you know, keeping the individual alive. But the big question is, can he breathe on his own off the, you know, ventilator? And that was why it was so crucial to the apnea test. But now the parents are really, really kind of just resistant in terms of just what the doctors are saying. And their hope is basically not once the mother or the parents, from my understanding, say that they cannot see a time in the future where they'll go ahead and say, hey, we're done with this. Let's go and stop all forms of treatment. Let's go and stop the ventilator. They've never once said that, at least to my understanding. Their big argument, well, a couple of big arguments. Number one, they want to kind of give it time, and they feel that he still hasn't had much time yet. And a lot of it is faith-based, and they feel that there's cases. In fact, one of their testimonies last week when they went to the higher courts, they had a doctor in America who had presented with, I believe it was like 50 plus cases, maybe more, 50 to 150, I think, of these similar cases to where individuals were supposedly declared brain dead, but then they, I'm not sure about brain dead, but they're declared dead, I should say. I don't know if it was declared brain dead, but nonetheless, fast forward many months later, they miraculously turned around. So that's why the parents are holding on this possibility that, hey, they may be another case where that may happen. The only other argument is, well, how many times have folks with COVID, these folks get the chance of being put on a ventilator for many months. So why can't our child have the sort of same sort of treatment and so on? So that's another argument I see that. And it is definitely a bad position to be in. Let's see here. And his family basically, let's see what else they see. They need more time to heal. This is the mother's quote. His heart is still beating. He has gripped my hand. And as his mother, I know he is still in there. Until it's God's way, I won't accept he should go. I know of miracles when people have come back from being brain dead. Those are mother's quotes. Of course, on the other side, the doctors, they're saying the opposite. And I apologize if I'm repeating myself. I'm just kind of going through my notes and still kind of learning the little ins and outs of this. The doctor's saying that they told the high court that it was highly likely, this is what they told the high court last week, that he was quote unquote brainstem dead following scan results. Again, these are like MRI scans. That's the best they can do, okay? Which is not like the most accurate. I mean, the best case would have been the apnea, which initially the mom refused, the parents refused. Later, the local courts granted them. But by that time, they tried it, they couldn't do it. So they don't have an official apnea test to confirm this. But nonetheless, they said, despite that, the scan results, and also asked the court to consider, the doctors asked the court to consider ordering that his life support should be stopped. During the final hearing, specialists said tests had shown no discernible brain activity. Okay, so I wonder if they did an EEG. I'm guessing they did. I didn't come across anything that mentioned that. That's will basically show electrical activity around the brain, and that parts of his brains were showing significant areas of tissue necrosis. I'm guessing that's probably what the imaging, maybe the MRI showed. Lawyers representing the trust had asked the judge to decide what step was next in Archie's best interest. Okay, so of course, following the ruling, the first ruling when the judges ruled, this is not the high court, but the lower judges ruled in favor of the doctors. The doctors, the chief medical officer said thoughts and sympathies were with Archie's family, and that the hospital would provide the best possible care while his support is withdrawn. But that time will be given for the family to appeal before any changes were to be made. Of course, that's when they appealed and went to the higher courts. The higher courts favored in the parents' favor. This is where we stand here. And right now, the new hearing is scheduled in the high court. Follow-up hearing we scheduled on July 11th, which is less than 10 days from now. After on June the 29th, the Court of Appeals, the highest court, rules that a new hearing to determine Archie's best interest should take place. And I think also the high court's also going to look, and I think they're pushing that they want the doctor to show beyond a reasonable doubt that he is brain dead or there's no viability left and so on. And which is a hard sell because they haven't done the apnea, can't do an apnea test. But nonetheless, they have a lot of preponderance of evidence showing that he's just not responding, or he's not the same as he was before prior to this anoxic event. Anoxic means lack of oxygen, where I'm not sure how long he was without oxygen. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens on July the 9th, this new hearing. with this high court, what they're going to determine. I don't know. In mom's defense, again, I mentioned this before, but I think a lot of it, there is denial. I think it's understandable denial. I think any mother, any parent would probably feeling what the mother's saying, feeling, I should say. And, denial is basically a defense mechanism that is basically in which the existence of any sort of unpleasant internal or external stimuli or internal external realities of a situation is denied in essence, and kept out of one's, I guess, conscious awareness. So in these types of cases, the hope is that over time there'll be some more education and more awareness of the situation and more realization that, okay, maybe there may not be, maybe this is irreversible. Maybe there might not be a chance to go ahead and for Archie to bounce back. But then again, I mean, God works in mysterious ways, and a lot of it depends on how you are. We doctors, myself, I rely on objective evidence, data, and so on. But I've said this many, many times before on this channel. Medicine to me is not black or white; it's gray. And sure, there have been many times in my practice. I don't deal with these types of cases. That's my specialty. But where I thought definitively, I think this person has this diagnosis. Just an example, say schizophrenia. And then later on, whoa, it wasn't that diagnosis at all. It's happened. It's rare. But it can happen. Medicine is gray. So I think, that's one thing to consider. The other thing to consider also is just the time. Is the time good enough to satisfy the parents? He's been there for 3 months. And their argument was, the COVID example, which I think is a fair, legitimate argument. Not to add on to this, but might as well while we're here. I can't tell you how many times where I've talked to individuals and I've dealt with a lot of folks who believe that COVID, is a hoax, is not real. Next thing you know, and they're laughing at it, thinking it's just some sort of a joke. Kind of like what the former president here mentioned, that was a hoax. Next thing you know, they get COVID. Former president gets treatment for it. I guess if it's a hoax, then why do you get treatment? Likewise, these folks who get COVID and they go to the hospital. Next thing you know, they're in the ICU, get on a ventilator, which understandably so, I'm not here to restrict. I'm not here to go ahead and tell you they can't have it. But if these individuals who were basically mocking folks for wearing masks and making fun and saying it's a hoax and don't believe it, next thing you know, they get COVID and they're sitting in the ICU. And I've seen this, the local hospitals here, where they're hogging up a bed, taking up a bed, and they're there for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Then, the mother has a point that, hey, there are some folks with COVID on the ventilator and so on. So that's something to consider also. Let's see here if I'm missing anything before we kind of jump in here. Let's see. Okay, so I talked about what happened in the case. Okay, I talked about science. Yeah. I talked about that. She's also the mother, also begging for any hospital that would maybe pick up her case, pick up Archie, I should say, and take him under their wings to help with and overtake the care. So that there's no time constraint rush, there's no pressure and so on, and just give it. I guess mother seems very religious, not to use her words or like that, but I'm assuming that she's maybe I'm wrong. Forgive me if I'm wrong while saying this, but I'm guessing the mother would like to leave it in God's hands, in order for hopeful time for recovery and healing and so on. So she's right now begging for any hospital. The problem though is that I've seen these cases. Once you have parents who sort of disagree with doctors and don't want to go ahead and go along with testing. Like for example, that apnea test, the initial test where the doctors are saying we need to do this and the mom said no. That's to a lot of other providers. To me, I'll take any kind of case in my own real life. I don't, it doesn't matter to me exactly what the circumstances, situations. I'll take any case that shows up in front of me just to try to help out. But I know a lot of colleagues that will go ahead and look at this and say, whoa, well, hold on here. This is a mom family who basically refused recommendations. So what's not to say that the same thing will happen with us if we take over the care and our staff feels the same way, whether it's, how can we provide adequate care if there's a potential for refusing? And I don't think that she refused it on purpose, like just to be a hard-nosed person or anything like that. I'm not quite sure exactly why she refused it, the apnea test. Maybe there's the strict frank denial that was still very, very strong and just wanted to go ahead and do least amount of testing. Maybe it wasn't explained good enough. Maybe she didn't want too many tests, didn't want her son to be like a guinea pig, she was thinking, or something. I don't know the details there. But she's gonna be hard to find some other place that may take, especially also, and it goes back to finances. If they're not being compensated, if the money it's expensive to go ahead and continue services for someone to be on a ventilator. So unfortunately, a lot of times money, which I wish it wasn't the case. I wish healthcare was universal, and I wish it was available to everyone. For me, like if I was living in the United Kingdom or even here in America, if there's a case like this, and if I knew that like some of my money, there's some way, like for example, like tax dollars, whatever, we're going to go to a case like this, to me, it wouldn't bother me that much, because I know that, okay, it's in a good cause and hopefully hoping for the best and so on. And it's not being used in vain. And I'd rather see that my own tax dollars go to something like this, as opposed to other type of thing. Well, maybe I'm a little biased because truthfully, I'm a pacifist and I don't really agree with war. So I don't like using a lot of our tax dollars on military defense spending and other such types of services. So I would rather do it more for like, healthcare and situations like this. Another important point is that I'm not blaming. I hope this video has come across as me blaming anyone. By blaming, I hope no one says, "Hey, why don't you watch the boy all this time? If you monitored him, if this would have happened." No, it could have happened to any one of us like that. How many times have you, as your kids or children, if you have kids or children, done things that you had no idea that they were going to do? So definitely we don't want to beat down the parents or the mom or blame anyone. So let's see what else. But the parents are holding on the fact that he's holding the fingers, squeezing the fingers. And I think, honestly, I think a lot of it could be because of primitive, just involuntary reflexes that are there. I mean, there's a lot of involuntary movements when you're on a ventilator and so on. So it might just be by just coincidence, idiosyncratic type stuff. So it may not have no meaning to that. But then again, I mean, who am I to say? Let us see here. What else? Okay. But it's definitely a nightmare. Yeah. And again, the problem is the ventilator. It can kind of create this artificial sort of look to the individual because it's keeping the person alive, breathing. It's kind of acting as sort of the brainstem, right? So you look at someone on a ventilator, and mom's looking at Archie down there, and he looks fine. He's probably pink and warm, and so on. His chest is moving up and down, so she might be thinking, oh wow, he's still got some fight there, and so on. Let's just kind of continue the fight. He's got a pulse and so on. But again, he's hooked on a ventilator. So, but time and time again, I've talked with folks who work in the ICU, and they said that it's a battle of just folks wanting to accept the reality and so on. So let me see. So we don't know the timeline here. We talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about brain death. Yeah. So those are the main points here that I can think of. Let's see if I missed anything before I jump to the comments here. Missing brain death. We talked about that. So I pull up this right here. One of my favorite parents. I think also another thing also is that the view of death, I think a lot of folks have a different view. Some folks may believe that death occurs only when the heart stops beating, thinking that the child's still alive. Others may think it's, the brain. So this is where the ethics committee, and this is where the hospitals are so important of arranging these types of meetings and arranging communication with the doctors and stuff. Obviously now it's become a situation to where it's like a battle now, to where it's probably, I'm guessing there's a lot of tension between the nights, especially if lawyers are involved and so on. So now it's going to be much tougher to go ahead and sort of come on the same conclusion. So let me go ahead and go back up here and so on, and kind of go to the comments here. My thoughts, by the way, I'm on the fence about this. To be honest, I'm on the fence. The doctor in me says objectively, the doctors, you guys side with the doctors and say, okay, they know what's best. They've seen this before. And they clinically evaluate him day in, day out. Nurses also, the medical staff going 24/7 and they're evaluating, coming in and out. And they've seen and evaluated. But that being said, they haven't seen all cases. So my brain says, yeah, I can see what the doctors are saying. But then again, my heart says, well, hold on here. Especially just for the mom's and the parents' psychological well-being, if they were to go ahead right now and say, end the life support right now, what I worry about is down the road, the mother having the what ifs, what could have been, and so on. And that's why I wish that there can be a healthy, happy compromise to where it gives them enough time. Had the mother in the beginning said, hey, hold on here, we're never going to go ahead and pull, take off life support. We're never going to go ahead. But the fact that she never really said any of that, she just said, I just want to give some time. He's, especially in the beginning where they're kind of pushing, and the mother said, oh, it's only been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and the simple fact is, the reality is, I don't think he's really, a lot of folks saying, well, hold on here. Number one, why are you doing this to him? The poor child is suffering. I've never myself been on a ventilator, but from what I've talked to folks, professionals who worked in the emergency or the ICU, on a ventilator, it's more of a, you're getting assistance. They're using medications. I don't think there's any sort of forms of distress or anything like that. You're pretty much knocked out. You're comatose essentially. So I'm not sure if there'd be any sort of suffering per se, like you think of that. You're just laying there in a state of just unconsciousness, whether you're, clinically dead or not. So I don't think there's any suffering. And then the question is going to be like, how long to do this? And that's a question that ultimately, because Archie's parents know him best, I feel that, well, maybe they should, have the final say. But then again, the doctors have been doing this for a long time. So the good thing is I don't think there's any suffering involved. It's just a matter of time. And, how long should this prolong? Obviously, the parents are in denial. But understandable denial. But anyways, okay, so let me go ahead and see here the comments here, and then I'll kind of chime in also further thoughts and so on. But it's a very tough case, and again, thanks for joining us here on this 4th of July weekend. I'm sorry if I was a little rounded, and I just kind of was just trying to get all the facts here, and I just kind of researched this case a little bit more in depth today, so hopefully it made a lot of sense here. All right. Linda says, thank you, the most honorable. Thank you so much. I'll send that check for you so much. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to fast forward here. Yeah, I'm hoping that there are some people in the UK. That's why I did it on this time. But if not, no worries. This video will stay afterwards. It'd be kind of interesting. I'm surprised that no other creators, none of people are talking about this case. It's a very interesting case. And I was expecting that more videos. When I Googled his name, there's only like today, I said Google his name and I put today, my video pops up. So I'm surprised that no one else is, there's no other folks really talking about this. And it's still continuing. The next court hearing is July 12th. So it's still an ongoing kind of thing. Okay. No problem. If you have to leave, no problem. I do need, that's understandable. It's 4th of July. Thanks for coming and so on. Okay. I really understand. Yes. All right. Welcome, Bulldog Mom. I wanted to hear. All right. Yep. We're going down. Okay. No problem, Jane Doe. Good. No problem. Yes. UK time. I think it's like 7 o'clock there or something. Almost 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. No problem. Gabby, thank you so much. Hopefully it's not interfering with your work. Okay, I think it's down south of London. Okay, gotcha. Okay, fair enough. I don't know the geography. It's down south, London way. Okay, gotcha. Pecan pie, no problem. Good to see you, my friend. Do you know, yeah, that's the question, Linda. I don't know how long the literature was. First of all, I don't even know exactly what type of literature it was. It was TikTok challenge. I don't know if there's a challenge going around. Kind of dangerous also. Monitor your children right now because I don't know if it's a popular challenge. This happened in April. So I don't, these TikTok challenges kind of come frequently. So I don't know about in April if there was a very famous one we're involved. I've seen TikTok challenges where kids will jump off cars that are moving. I've seen the case last week, the TikTok challenge, I guess kicking a burning ball. These challenges are just really just testing the limits and dangerous. So I think TikTok is one of the demises of Western civilization as we know it, or civilization. And I think social media is in general. That's why I really don't go on much social media because, quite frankly, I don't have time for it. But I do think that it's going to lead to the ultimate. Well, I think climate change, number one. But aside from that, I think these are secondary kind of influences and factors. But all right, no, and I don't know. I don't know. So how long it was? I didn't see anything about cyanotic, him being blue, but to have caused what's called an anoxic injury where you lack oxygen to the brain to the point where you're on a ventilator. I'm guessing it probably was more. I don't know. I mean, maybe more than 5 minutes. I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. Again, this is not my specialty. I'm not going to go ahead and lie and try to fake my way through this. This is something that I just don't know much about. ICU medicine, something I definitely don't know much about. All right. Greetings. All right. Yep. Hope you guys have a very fantastic weekend here. Psych Guy. We're going to hang out here just for a couple hours, kind of chit chat. How long it takes. Can everyone second bell? Can everyone please take a second, hit the bell to like video? So, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Always a diligent supporter and so on. Hey, how's it going, Ali Joe? Good to see you, my friend. Okay. Linda says, actually, I know a little about MMA. Oh, wow. Okay. See, I just assumed that MMA was adult based. I didn't know that they go as young. He was 12 years old. My son is into it. His boyfriend, or his best friend, actually, I don't know, best friend or boyfriend, I'm not sure. Owns a gym for exclusively MMM. His gym is, whoa, wow, it takes 12-year-olds. Oh my goodness. Okay. Man, wow. Okay. Interesting. Well, I guess that they do that. Hey, how's it going? All right. So we said, okay. Here we go. Jane Doe says, how many more serious incidents/deaths need to occur before toxic TikToks monitor for dangerous content? I agree. I agree. It's a very good point, Jane Doe. I do think TikTok is not really that beneficial at all. I think in the beginning it was fun and innocent. I mean, kids dancing and so on. I did a dance video 2 videos ago. We're gonna call it dance. So nothing wrong with that. To go ahead and showcase a couple of dance moves. But then now when it's kind of progressed to this sort of weird kind of just dangerous or testing the limits of safety, dangerous content removed for. But in TikTok's, not say defense, but TikTok, just like with other kind of social media outlets, including YouTube, it's all about this right here. So that's all I care about. It's just money and advertisements and so on, revenue, increasing the profit margins. So I don't think these types of cases, especially given that they're isolated, are going to be a big determinant factor for them to go ahead and say, we got to go ahead and shut down. I wish it were the other case, but these are the problems of living in the sort of, I guess, for the most part, a capitalistic sort of, society. Even though I'm not sure where TikTok originates from, I'm guessing is it a Japanese company or that's being said, they're still capital. So I don't know exactly, but still nonetheless, I mean, their main platforms are in the America and so on. So yeah. Linda DeGraff, this is absolutely gut wrenching. My science brain and the logic agrees that is as probably futile simple as mom. Yeah, I agree with you, Linda. I think we're on the same page. I do. I mean, being the physician, I said this earlier, I'll say it again. I do think that it's a pretty dire situation. But then again, I mean, look, I can't say for sure. I can't, in the end, God works in mysterious ways. And who's going to say that there could be a turnaround? Albeit the chances are very, 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 very slim. You never know. ultimately, I think though, at some point, hopefully there should come to a time where there is some sort of resolution. I think personally, if I was in this situation, I don't see what the mom's asking for more time. I don't think it's completely 100% unreasonable, especially if it happened just in April. But if we're talking about this, say a year from now, or even a year from April, then I think, whoa, this is kind of like, okay, what new things are we doing? What sort of new sort of data or things? I think at that point, I would assume at some point, the mother, I'm hoping at least the family comes to some sort of closure after time sort of has taken its course. If the courts will allow for this to sort of prolong the life-sustaining measures, it's really up to them, you know. So it is absolutely gut-wrenching, to say the least here. Okay. I look like Fightful from the American Tail, I think is what someone said outside. All right. And this is basically me just not even caring what to look like. But anyways, it's my focus on me. It's on the case here. I'm doing well and I agree. Crap. Stuff like this has to be banned from. Yes, exactly. I do think that there's no reason, but I don't think it's going to be banned. Just like in YouTube with all these sort of, I guess the popular term is toxic, all these creators who are toxic and so on. Those folks, nothing's going to happen to them, especially ones that have more subscribers, more followers. They bring in the views. So, I think it's going to, who cares about the bullying? Who cares about harassment? It's very rare for folks to get sued. First off, to hire lawyers to go and sue someone like for defamation or whatever across straight lines is just too much. So it's very rare for, that to happen. It's too expensive to go and, have whole court. So that's why I don't take those kinds of cases that seriously when I ever see, this person's going to sue that person for defamation. But no, I mean, it's a hard sort of sell. Yeah, I also prove damages. I'm not a lawyer here, but because there's so many hurdles and so much red tape, I don't see anything happening to where anything will be banned. I'm sure probably you may agree with, I'm not sure. All right. Much love. I love elephants, by the way. Elephants are my favorite animal for sure. All right. There we go. Ali Joe, I see this. Ali Joe says, I see these issues a lot and it's so difficult every single time. Very difficult, very sad. So many ethics involved in these ethic committees. And what happens also is that it's sad because I don't know if you guys have been in this situation or not, or something similar to this. But what also happens, you have these dynamics to where it's almost like you have different teams forming. And initially when the family comes in and they have a loved one in the hospital, a lot of times doctors and providers, not me, because I definitely know my place in this world. But I've noticed a lot of my colleagues, and not to badmouth, and if I alienate them, I'm sorry, I apologize. But I gotta be honest with you. There's a lot of docs out there, a lot of providers who are just they're egoists. They're just very, very full of themselves. I'm not going to use the N word, but they feel that they've gone through all this training and all this, tests and all this stuff, and they're putting through all this BS, whatever, that they are held on a higher standard, which completely I think is foolish. I mean, I've gone through the same kinds of training, like I said before, a past live. I mean, after high school, I had to do 13 more years of training. And I've had countless number of tests and so on. But the reality is, I keep saying this, but I'll say this again, but there's this group called the Scorpions, and they have a song called Under the Same Sun. And we all walk under the same sun. And in the end, we all do. It doesn't matter who you are, what do you do for a living, and so on. So I wish that we all had the same attitude. But a lot of doctors, though, they walk on their high horse. And so I hope, I don't know if this happened or not, but hopefully not. Maybe it did in this case. I've seen this time in a lot of cases where it's just a he said, she said, and a lot of egos will come the way. And a lot of providers, they don't want to go ahead and come down to the family member. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, the family members or so on of the patient that's lying in the hospital, they're kind of turned into like an enemy. They're kind of looked as sort of like as a bad guy, that they're toxic. And just because the doctors are recommending something and the family says, well, hold on, no, they're not really going with it. That doesn't necessarily mean that this family is being oppositional. Because they might as well, they could be just saying, hey, look, maybe we don't understand the procedure. They might be thinking, hold on, do I want Johnny or Sally, my loved one, going through another test? Is this test necessary? So even though they say no to stuff, doesn't mean that they're being oppositional. But a lot of doctors, they feel they're very rigid, and providers, they feel that, not all, but they feel that their way is the right way. And I wish that there were courses in medical school. This is something that hopefully maybe we can change, but they need to have added a course to provide better bedside manner. Because I've gone along the way with just providers, and it's not only just the way they treat family members, patients, but they just have a lot of them have very ill bedside manner, and the way they treat the staff too. I've seen like a lot of doctors just treat nurses bad and, put them down and so on. And it's just not a good look, but they'll still continue to do that. And I know I'm alienating myself away, and I may alienate myself away from a lot of these colleagues of mine, but that's something I definitely want to be a part of. And it just doesn't go anywhere. At the end of the day, it only adds more tension, more chaos. It's almost like a paradoxical effect. And there's really no point, no reason. And if anything, it severs the alliance. It will lead to a severance of the alliance, a cutting between the family and the provider. So I don't know if that happened here. Who knows? My guess that probably once the lawyers got involved and so on, then that's okay. Big's division, then, so on. But yeah, it's not good. So it's very, very tragic. All right. So let's move on here. Here we go. Linda says, if there's any conclusive proof regarding the boy copying TikTok, it would go far if the parents could hit them where it hurts most and go for it. Yeah, that's going to be hard to prove. Good point. Yeah. I mean, and my guess that probably TikTok may counter and say, well, hold on here. How do you know that there was something else going on? Could be that he had a fight coming up, an MMA fight 2 weeks from then, that incident that maybe he was potentially stressed out about. And he just had this transient episode of depression or something like that. So I'm pretty sure TikTok will probably, I don't even know who owns it. TikTok's a company, I guess. They'll probably sort of have a lot of other sort of reasons laid out to why this happened, and they'll probably say, nope, it's not our fault or whatever. But man. Okay, Linda says Royal London Hospital is the biggest and best in younger patients, but also, okay, wow. See, I didn't know that. Okay, interesting. Okay, that's good to know. So he's definitely, the good thing is that he's in the right place, for at least, right now. Whether he transferred somewhere else. I believe there's a case that happened last year or a couple of years ago, maybe. It's an African-American. I can't remember her name, but I believe that she was in the hospital for a long time. And then I want to say it was in Oakland or something, or was it Florida? I can't remember. But anyways, I think she got transferred to a hospital that was going to accept her because the other hospital saying, no. They wanted to do the same thing, pull off life support. Family said, no. They finally found a hospital that would take her. And I believe at the end, they at times sort of do its course. And I believe then ultimately they realized, okay, this is irreversible, which most of these cases are. And that's when they decided to go ahead and shut down the ventilator. So I believe that maybe this might happen. I don't know. Maybe in this kind of case, I have no idea. I'm not sure. Okay, here's another comment here. Okay. Linda says, I think a little boy wouldn't want to live like this. This is a time for the parents to think about it. Yeah, exactly. And the question is, okay, is it irreversible or is it reversible? And at this point in time, most specialists, anyone you talk to says is irreversible. Just looking at the imaging, the MRI, and so on. And most providers will also say the same thing. It is irreversible. But the parents, do they believe that? Do they think that? Of course, they're going to fight. And is this, when I say is this going to be permanent, moving forward, if it is irreversible, and even hypothetically, if say like he is able to breathe on his own and so on, how will he come out of this? Will he have a lot of, neurological debt, which is probably more so going to happen because to the point where it affected his ability to breathe, which is a primitive sort of function that's located in the brainstem. Probably he's going to have much more neurological consequences and so on. So will he live in sort of like a vegetative state? Will he require like just 24/7 care to where he's not fully aware, appreciating, will he want to live like this? So, Yeah, I mean, you brought up a very, very good point. I don't think a little boy, I don't think anyone, and I think you would probably agree, Linda, I don't think anyone want to live like that. So the question is going to be, how much can he come back, in what sort of percentage of functioning can he, which the odds are stacked against him, not going to lie. But I think parents are hoping that the fact that in their minds, they're seeing little signs of progress. And again, that all might be just involuntary. That all might be just idiosyncratic, just, by coincidence sort of type stuff that spontaneously happened, and squeezing the hand. Oh, well, oh my goodness. Okay, this is a good sign. Okay, then the following day, more of that. Oh, wow, this is even more progress here. Maybe, they're just blowing things out of proportion in terms of the progress in their minds. Who knows, yeah, you're absolutely right, though. You're absolutely right. Here, okay. Linda the Graph said, oh, sorry, Ali Joe says, I'm using that support of people who are super happy, but with the amount of children who have been hurt or worse with these tensions, something needs to be done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something needs to be done. Can something be done? But the question is, can something be done? And I have my doubts. Especially if it hasn't happened by now. But hopefully, you never know. You never know, though. You never know. I don't want to be a pessimist here. Wow, Psych Guy, why are you such a pessimist here on 4th of July? You're ruining our holiday weekend. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. Please like. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Linda. Thank you so much. If you want to, no worries. I wonder if anyone's even live streaming today. Probably most folks are just by the beach or by a pool or on the road, which I can't blame them for sure. I just thought this is a good topic to talk about today. Especially it's kind of a lazy Sunday afternoon. Yeah, quality of life, very, very important. And it kind of goes back, and I think the first judge was saying risk versus benefits. And I guess the first judge argued that the risks sort of outweigh the benefits, and that didn't seem that there was going to be much good sort of quality of life and so on. But then the second judge was more focused on the legalities of it, or talking about, I guess, focus more on, you got to show beyond a reasonable doubt, like a criminal case, beyond a reasonable doubt that this child is completely not going to recover, which is going to be kind of hard. So, okay. Luna says TikTok, yes, should be. Yeah, I agree. Though that being said, if they ban the dangerous challenges, their viewer count would decrease, is my guess. They wouldn't have much traffic. So would they want to ban the dangerous challenges? At this point in time, I'm not sure exactly if they have got hit hard with multiple lawsuits in the past with this. I would hope that they would encourage. I don't like litigious activity. I don't like lawyers. I think I've said this before. I really don't like lawyers. No disrespect to them, but as a provider, a doctor, I don't bill for like my time when I do fill out forms. I just think it's just so unethical when lawyers are billing every 15 minutes for. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But why are they billing every 15 minutes when other professions like myself or other professions don't do that? So that's why I kind of stay away from lawyer. I do have lawyer friends, and so I just rip on them for that. But it just seems, a lot of it seems kind of money driven. Not saying medicine isn't money driven. I've seen doctors who will go ahead and order procedures just to go ahead and pad the wallets for the institution they represent, which I think is really, really not right. That's why I don't like to follow. I like to follow the sort of road less traveled, like Robert Frost. But I don't think they're going to ban the dangerous challenges as long as nothing's said or done, because it brings in more money for them. Organization shall be. Yes, for sure. I think definitely for sure. I think once there's a resolution and once all parties agree, I think definitely for sure that's definitely good to go ahead and play into. Let's see here. Linda the graph says, I am also not one who litigates, but this boy, if he survives, his brain is likely will be forever. Yeah, the chances are saying that, yes, for sure. I'm not going to dispute that and sugarcoat anything. He'll need he'll need a lot of the clock care, and it's going to add to a lot of money and so on. Which that's another question. It's like if he does come out of no longer needs a ventilator, you're right, Linda. He'll probably need around the clock care. Where's the money to supply for that? Where is that going to happen? Medical care is very expensive, for sure. Which is why I'm not a big fan of. I like I don't want to go too much into my beliefs, but anyways, I totally agree with Linda. Heller says, I totally agree with Linda, but ban the dangerous stuff, encourage people of all ages join in and try to be dangerous. But yeah, it's unnecessary. It doesn't really prove much and so on. If anything, it's just adds to more victims, casualties, and so on. So great point there, Heather. All right. Linda says, all probably should enforce bans on these stupid challenges. Which that our case. I don't see that happening though, just based on money. I think this world unfortunately looks at the dollar sign too much when they shouldn't. Okay. And YouTube's a perfect example too. You know, they're just it's not even a challenge, it's suicide. It's basically it's a reckless sort of it's basically like playing like Russian roulette or something. You know, it's a reckless, grave activity, that's for sure. Oh crap! Luna says the judge's ruling against parents is beyond terrible. Anyone recall? Yes, that was a very, very, very famous case. Also, that it's probably the most famous case here in America, the Cherry Shivo case. Similar, it spells sort of similarities with this case also. And these kids, Linda says, and these kids are who don't have a strong reasoning skills in the brain. Yeah, exactly. These kids are. I mean, he's 12, so he's not even entered in. He's just entering in formal operational thinking patterns. He's leaving concrete operations, from a Piagetian standpoint. So he's now just able to sort of abstract concepts and so on. So you shouldn't expect much. So on, especially 12. A lot of copycat activities, behaviors, want to be cool, just like the other kids. And TikTok to me is a forum to go ahead and sort of prove how cool, at least in their minds, how cool they are to their colleagues. When in reality, I think TikTok is lame. I always march the beat to a different drummer, and to me, if anything, TikTok is this conformist sort of platform. And I don't know, if I was their age, you know, younger, say if I was like 9, 10, 11, I would probably say, what is this conformo type thing? I'm going to do the complete opposite and not even do this TikTok stuff, because it seems like every kid is talking about TikTok and doing TikTok that. And I would probably but that's just me. Not to rub any salt in anyone's wounds or blame the child for doing it, or, you know, blame the mom. Why did you allow him to go on TikTok? This is definitely the video for that. That's for sure. Okay, where am I? Okay. Yeah, they don't realize how dangerous these videos are. Yep. Okay, exactly. They don't realize how dangerous and crazy these videos are. Most of them edited fake. Oh yeah, that is also a good point too. I've never been on TikTok, but I guess you can edit and show, even though it's not showing the true, really they do. Good point. Shivo was okay. So Linda says Shivo was a 20-something married woman who was anorexic. She wound up coding, put on life support. Parents were devout Catholics, and yeah. To be honest with you, I was studying a lot during that time, schooling and so on. So I wasn't really paying much attention to that case. Different phase of my life. I still am studying. The studies never end. Yeah, it never ends. But anyways, that's what happens when you go to mess. But yeah, so it's very similar. Tragic case. I know similar kind of parallels to this. The most famous case, like this one. Okay, here we go. Linda says, I remember Terry Shivo, but as a Christian, I believe that life support wouldn't be necessary. The person who wants to live. I don't think Terry. That's another question. Also, I think that the higher courts are saying I think they brought also the fact that the preponderance of evidence, you know, or the beyond a reasonable doubt, kind of like a criminal case, you want to prove that, okay, is he completely, you know, dead and it's irreversible without the brains, without the apnea test. But I think they're also saying, okay, what would, you know, the boy want, his religious beliefs and so on. I think they brought that up also, I believe. And I believe from what I read or watched, the child recently became a Christian. I want to say it was like maybe, was it 2 months or 2 years or something like that before this incident. He got inspired, I guess, because I guess he saw like at an MMA fight or at an MMA excursion event or whatever you call it. I think he saw some people praying, I think, before the encounter. So I think that's when he became, it was a catalyst to inspire him to become more religious, which is cool, which is fine. No problem with that. So I don't know exactly. Of course, he's 12 years old. What is his points of view? Who knows, right? No one want to even think about the scenario situation, let alone being 12 or, you know, later in life, 42, 52, 50, 62, you know, whatever, you know, to be in this kind of. But I remember talking about, I believe that life support would be necessary if the person wants to live. I don't think that Terry would want to live being bred close. Yeah, it's hard to say because you truly don't know exactly their wishes also. Especially if and trying to get off the can they even get off the the ventilator and so on. So yeah, okay, good point there. Husband wanted case Terry shower case still wanted life support removed. Parents got just intervened in the end. Court event I guess was removed, or a C vent was removed, and vent was removed, and she continued to breathe on her own. Husband suddenly had PNT. Husband blocked communion. Oh man. Okay. Man, tough. Yeah, when it gets to this point where it's a lot of just ethics and just different wishes. I mean, it sounds like when you have then, like in this case, probably the husband's wishes and wants, and then parents, and then you had what was Terry's wish, who knows? And so many different dynamics can make it so difficult. I'm too of a woman of faith and agree God's in control, however PG call it, when he said any mom would likely want to raise a cat at least 3 months. I honestly think 3 months is still so early in the game. I agree with that. And I almost wonder if there's like pressure behind the scenes, like, hey, this person's taking up a bed. A lot of times that's always the case, to where it's ICU bed to being taken in. But I go back to that COVID example. Because I've seen it in my local hospital. Just recently, I talked to colleagues where like there are folks that are hanging out, and I'm not blaming them, but these are folks that didn't bother wearing a mask, didn't bother taking COVID, didn't get vaccinated, didn't get boosted, didn't take it seriously, was making fun of people who'd wear masks and so on. Next thing they got COVID. So how are these guys staying on the ventilator, for 6 months, right? So I think that the 3 month thing is just still, I don't know, that's just me. But then again, I haven't looked at all the data and objective facts and looked at the case in depth, but I just think it's still too early. At least, especially with the mom fighting and so on. So let's see here. It's crazy that any war so isn't it? Yeah, I agree, Jane. Definitely, for sure. I agree. I fear we are only seeing the tip of the iceberg in today's world. Man, yeah, it's just scary, isn't it? Scary, Linda. Definitely, I feel like it's obscene. Okay. Let's see here. I've seen that we've come so far in civilization that war may ask things of killing me. No problem. No, we're on the same page for sure. Okay. That's a good question, Allie Joe. And I would hope so. I don't know. I don't know if this facility has an ethics committee. I would hope so. Usually in these cases, you hit the nail on the head. I'm guessing that probably you are in the healthcare field. I don't know you too well, but I've seen you around. You don't have to tell me what you do or anything like that. But just based on your answers or your things you chimed in today's chat, I would suspect that you probably are in the healthcare field, maybe as a nurse or something. I don't know. But yes, that's a very good question. And I hope they have an ethics committee so that they can go ahead and get a big panel to sort of meet together, different sort of individuals, social workers, ancillary staff, maybe nurse, maybe the head chief nurse, maybe the doctors, just collectively to maybe empathically meet with the parents. But at this point in time, I don't even know if that's even going to happen anymore because there's just now two different polarizing sides involved with lawyers, so maybe that happened in the beginning. I'm pretty sure Royal Hospital of London probably does have an ethics committee that was maybe utilized in the beginning, but maybe not anymore. I don't know. Not sure. Okay, Linda says long-term care facilities are so incredibly expensive, and many facilities are not even equipped for artificial vent patients. The care is complex and astronomically expensive. Okay. All right. Okay. So yes, that's a very good point. Yes, it all boils down to the cost. Yes, for sure. As I said, I actually chaired this meeting in long-term for the year. It certainly was not fun. I was director. Wow, had a case of a similar issue. Man. Yeah. That's these cases are really the toughest cases to deal with in any sort of scenario situation, life or death. Man, and it's both sides are reasonable, understandable. I can see the doctor's side, but I can see the parent's side also. Man, God bless for sure. Jane Doe says, I think if it's a hypoxic injury, that's low oxygen in the brain, whereas anoxic is complete oxygen, which is complete. Oh yeah. Sorry, I was just sorry. Yes. I don't know. That's the thing. And that's the thing. I don't know exactly how long the oxygen. I'm assuming it was cut off I said anoxic because it was a ligature. He was pale, and he's on a ventilator, so it must have been an anoxic injury. I'm sure that there's no oxygen supply to the brain. Otherwise, his brainstem would be still intact and breathing and so on. So, yes, that's why I use the word anoxic. So I do think that there's a complete lack, A without oxygen, anoxic without oxygen. So I think that's the reason why he has severe complications here. Okay, so all right. Linda says, I worked with a 24-year-old girl, was hit by a car age 12. Every month, she been crying on the day her period started. The nurses believed she felt pain from cramping. Who's to say whether pain exists? Yeah, exactly. I never doubt anything my patients say. I never do. If they say they have pain, especially like these folks. I mean, I guess I'll tell you a quick case here. I was working. This was like in third year resident at a big hospital. Actually, it was at the VA. Third year, I do rotation at the VA, and I had a patient that came in, and I'm a psych guy, right? I'm a psych guy, and usually like in your residency, sorry, I'm thinking of medical school. No, my first year, my first year I had an internship. And sorry, I'm just right. First year internship year, you have rotations and so on, where you do like 4 months of neurology, 6 months of neurology, so on. So, anyways, I had to do like 3 months, 2 months of ER kind of type stuff. So I did it at the VA hospital, and I was there, and there's a patient that came in, and I'm a psych guy, so of course they gave me the less complex patients because I was more interested in analyzing dreams than I am at dealing with these highly acute medical. But then again, I was interested in acute medical issues too. So, anyways, long story short, this patient came in, African American gentleman. He had like red baggy clothes, baggy t-shirt, baggy jeans, a bandana. Looked like someone, not to stereotype or generalize, but honestly, he did look like someone that probably would roll the streets and so on. Fine, no worries or whatever. I'm sure people looked at me, they'll say, "Wow, this guy would look like a doctor." I'm not judging anyone's appearances, but he did look like, just the way he carried himself. He had like his phone and so on, but he was grabbing his head. And he was complaining, like he said, the worst headache of his life. And those are buzzwords. When you hear that, you think back to your medical school days. And I'm not sure if anyone here is in medicine. But anyways, that's like a catchphrase to think of what's called like a subarachnoid hemorrhage. When anyone says the worst headache of their life. So it's like in my mind thinking, oh man, this dude's probably got a subarachnoid hemorrhage. So I presented to my attending and said, hey, I think I may have a subarachnoid hemorrhage. And the attending looked and saw him and laughed at me and said, oh, that guy's probably med seeking. I said, well, how do you know? And he goes, oh, well, probably because, look at him. Looks like he's, from a gang from the streets and so on. He's probably hitting up for some meds or whatever. But this poor guy was still grabbing his head. And he was cramped up in a fetal position. I said, I don't know, long story short, I convinced him, I said, hey, maybe we should just get like a CT scan. And next, long story short, the circle of Willis was lit, which basically is one of the indicators that, whoa, there's subarachnoid hemorrhage. And I was correct. But this is not to brag or say, wow, I was smart by attending. I was so happy that they were able to listen, and get him the necessary help. And definitely that convinces you to never judge a book by its cover. And hopefully here at Psych Guy also you feel the same way, that sort of philosophy. But where was I going with this? I can't remember where I was going with this. But anyways, I can't remember where I was going with this. Sorry. Where was Psych Guy going with this? Anyways, but yeah, I know. Was it this comment? Oh, yeah. Oh, that was it. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you can't really say if the pain is legit or not. In that case right there, the pain was legit. He had the worst type of pain you can imaginable. A subarachnoid hemorrhage that required surgical intervention. So, all right. Okay, so here we go. Kingdom Plans says, good to see you, my friend. TikTok has a jacked up algorithm that pushes dodgy stuff to the top, including the DID trend in teens. I guess dissociative identity disorder. I guess that's what it is. Trend in teens? I don't know, man. Why is that supposed to be trendy? I guess to me, at some point you wonder, okay, it's kind of like, to me, again, I go back to what I believe, maybe it's just me, but I've always believed that to be truly cool, maybe I'm biased, but you want to just do things that other people are not doing, you know, seek the nonconformist way. That's why I never did drugs or alcohol. That's why I never experimented. That's why, you know, but I don't know, for some reason, a lot of kids and so on, these folks, they like to follow conformist type, you know, norms, which I'm not bashing anyone or anything like that, but I don't know. I always thought that, you know, being an individual and being yourself is the ultimate sort of form of cool. But why would the DID trend in teens? To me, then once you start having people following, why would you want to be DID? I guess multiple personalities. They want to go and show, I guess. But then you have folks following the trend. Then is that still? I mean, you're just following what other folks are doing, and you're a follower at that point. And to me, I don't know. But TikTok's an algorithm. Okay, interesting. TikTok is smart though, not to defend or not to say TikTok is not to defend TikTok or say I agree with TikTok, but to have this algorithm. I think YouTube also has the algorithm, and they're just basically trying to maximize their profits, even though it's dodgy stuff and including these goofy trends or whatever. DID trend, I don't know, but they know what they're doing. They definitely want to maximize their profits. YouTube knows what they're doing, and they want to maximize their profits, especially when they're going after. They don't go after the big channels that are pushing, you know, the envelope because they don't want to see, you know. I mean, just look what happened with Logan Paul, right? I mean, if anything, that sort of suicide in the forest thing, what happened there? He's still on, right? YouTube, so they know that they want to go and bring in traffic. They don't want to go ahead and do anything that will ruin the top dollar. She was on a level 3. Yeah, okay, Terry Glasgow. Okay, I'm guessing. I believe that's, or was that the other one? No, the other patient. Okay, the 24-year-old. Sorry. Oh, level 3. Wow, that's pretty low. I think there's a scale. I'm trying to remember my internship year, or there's 15. I believe like it's like divided in 3 different categories. I can't remember exactly. And it's scaled from 0 to 5, and basically 3 is like very, very low number. It's I got to go. I think. I know the mini mental fluorescein exam like that in heart, but the Glasgow scale, that's something I don't. It's a scale that's used in the ICU that determines one's level of coma, their viability or whatever. Okay, so that's the best way I can describe it, at least for now. Okay, so the week show. There definitely can be suffering. I was in a coma. Okay, so see, this is something that I'm glad that you guys are here chiming in, because you guys, I mean, definitely have more valuable input than I do. I'm just an egghead here, just kind of leading the charge, leading the show. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Let me go ahead and test something out, because I want to see if I can pin the thing. If anyone wants to come up, you know, and give their 2 cents. I've never ever pinned anything here. We'll get back to the comments here. We still got a couple hours left, but let me go ahead, and I think I have to go through youtube.com, and then I think I need to click my video here. Okay, so I need to click my video. Oh, and then let me mute it. Okay, so how do I pin this now? So pin it to my StreamYard. How do I pin this? Here we go. Psych Guy. Pin. Here we go. Create a poll, add a reaction. This thing, do I pin? Oh, here we go. Manage moderators, participants, pop-out chats, toggle timestamps, send feedback. I'm clicking on the 3 dots. Okay. Huh. I'm not sure how to pin. Okay. I'm not sure. Well, that was a disaster. Okay. Save, clip, share, dislike. Okay. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not going to worry about that. I'll just comments. If anyone wants to jump on the panel, just type in the chats. Hey, can I come on board and talk to you? You know, chime in. Feel free. I'll go ahead and put also down here. Let me pull down here. Click on the 3 dots and click on 3 dots. Okay, here we go. 3 dots and comment. Okay, let me go and do that. My good friend Heather is saying that. Okay, so I'm going to Google Chrome. 3 dots on comment. Okay, so let me go back to that then. Sorry, I appreciate you bearing with me while I'm just trying to figure out this YouTube game here. Okay, so 3 dots on comment. What does Heather say? Okay. All right, 3 dots on comment. Oh, I gotcha. Oh, perfect. Beautiful. Heather comes through. Okay. So let's see here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is copy this, Copy. All right, and I'm going to paste this right here. My own comment. Paste. Boom. And then I'm going to go over here and go to the StreamYard place. No, go to YouTube. YouTube. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and here we go. Click here. Oh, pin message. Pin. Message pinned. Okay, let's me go back now. This is so embarrassing. I'm like, is it pinned? Can you guys see the thing pinned? Is it pinned? Let's see. Is it pinned? I'm thinking it's pinned. Maybe, maybe not. Heather, I think it's YouTube. Oh, it's pinned. Okay, perfect. Okay, whew. There we go. That was an ordeal. Okay, let me go back to the comments up there. Okay, yes. Woo! That was an ordeal. My goodness, how it took so long. Wow. Okay, so let me scroll back up here, back to the comments because you guys are coming hard today. I didn't realize. Well, you guys came. Thank you so much. Yes, slowly and surely, I'm doing great. All right, let me go back to the comments where I left off because definitely everyone's comments are very important here. Right. Let me go back to the comments where I left off because StreamYard. Okay, so I'm going back to StreamYard. Where did my StreamYard go? Let's see here. StreamYard, and we'll get back to the. Oh, here we go. StreamYard. Oh, okay, StreamYard. I'm in StreamYard. Okay, so you guys can still hear me, right? Can you guys still hear me? Yes. Can you guys hear me? Oh, wow. Okay, Linda, here we go. Linda's coming on. Perfect. All right. We got our first. There we go. Hey, how's it going?
Hi. Good.
All right. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you.
All right. Well, I know we've been talking for the past hour and a half or so about a very tragic case, isn't it, huh? A very tragic case about this.
There's a serious echo.
Oh, hold on here. Let me go ahead and 1 second. It might be me. 1 second. Let's see here. Boom, boom, and oh, I think on your end you need to mute your YouTube, I believe.
Oh, I need to mute. Okay.
But now, can you hear me or what? Oh wait, no. I think no. Wait, okay. Now I'm sorry. Mute yourself. I think you need to close one of your windows, I believe. Let's see. Oh, unmute. You got to unmute. I think you need to unmute. Here we go. Unmute the mic. Oh, oops. I cannot hear you.
There.
Okay. Is there still an echo or what?
No, I closed YouTube.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, yeah, it's close. Okay, good. All right. Well, hey, it's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you.
Thank you for coming here. Hey,
yeah.
we've been talking for the past hour and a half about a very difficult case, a very difficult law for sure. Involves a lot of ethics and dynamics. And I'm so glad you're joining us on this 4th of July weekend about this little boy that's in London. First off, what is your take? What are your thoughts on this case?
My thoughts are, in this case, you have to think about the patient first. I think most people would not want to live like that. At least I wouldn't, right? And I think, well, I know I wouldn't. My husband and I both put in when we were working on with a lawyer, we put in our preference of what we would want to do if we were in that sort of a situation where life support or not. Do we DNR or not?
Do you know
we both
for those folks that don't know?
Do not resuscitate.
Yes.
So And I guess I know everybody's different, but I would want, and I know certainly if somebody I loved and I had that situation, I would want to try to save them. But I also know personally, I would not want to go through that suffering. And I think most people would not want that either. So I know it's always hard when you're suffering yourself, and especially a parent having to go through that, and making that choice. I think mostly, like you said, it's denial. You don't want to. I just can't imagine having that choice and then feeling guilty if you choose to take them off of life support. I would think you feel like you're the one causing their death. You're the one who is killing them, and it's not. It's I just feel like it's always a hard choice, but it's usually denial. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The big question is, well, first off, thanks for chiming in and saying your 2 cents here. The fact that he's 12 years old, he's a baby still, and the fact that no one expects this to happen for anyone, let alone this age. And in regards to doing what he would want, we're just basing on what the parents are saying because they know him the best, which blame them. But obviously, it brings up the question, who would actually, do we need to talk to our kids and ask them early on about this? I mean,
no, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
Who would even think?
Who would even think? Right.
No.
So I don't even know what his wishes are.
No.
That being said, though, I can see an argument being made that, okay, if I was the 12-year-old boy, I know, for example, to me, I think I've put this in a community post before, but I've always felt that there's 3 bonds that are the most strongest. And I think a love for yourself is number 1. Number 2 is love for a higher power, if you believe in a higher power. And lastly, I think the love for your mother. I believe that the mother, son, or even daughter, the relationship is just a very, very strong bond that can't be compared to the paternal object. I mean, with no disrespect, but the mother carries infant in the womb, born, puts a place in the nipple, so on, and so you have that attachment, and so on. So I would think that probably if I was that 12-year-old boy, I would want what would be best on the flip side, for my mom and for my parents, and so on, and I would hate for, like, for example, if they did pull the plug right now, or I was meant to say pull the plug, apologize. But,
no, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
take off life support.
The chances are the mom probably would have a lot of residual guilt and probably say, oh my goodness, what if we waited? You never know, and so on. So probably I'll be thinking the child would probably want whatever happened for the mom to have the least pain and suffering, after this whole outcome. So probably would think that let's just let time take its course so that we won't face that potential that mom will suffer as much as if they were to go ahead and terminate right now. So
and I know, so well, as a psych you would know better, but I know that when there's ranking for the most stressful or traumatic situations that can come into your life, I think the top one is a child dying, and there's also divorce and deaths, but I think the child is the one you never expect, especially that young. I would think it'd be very traumatic.
Yes, absolutely. I can only imagine. I mean, God bless what they're going through, and thoughts and prayers to him and his family. I can only, it must be a nightmare. Yes, it's very, very hard. And when you see these other parties get involved, I know it can make it much tougher to not only deal with the stress of the situation, but also the stress from all these external factors and other sort of parties and so on. But very interesting points that you bring up. Yeah, it's just the biggest question is, what would the child want in the best interest? And I don't know, the time. I mean, if this was like say 6 months or so, I would probably have a different sort of perspective. I'd be a little bit more kind of okay, but the fact that it's still 3 months, I think we're still in that sort of subacute kind of phase. That's maybe just my
Right.
opinion. Maybe I'm biased, but
Well, you're also a doctor, so you know more with how they would I mean, what is the expectation when somebody is with the brain?
yeah,
Is there a possibility of somebody recovering from that or coming out of a coma or what we would consider dead? First thing I would tell her is you need to go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. That's what I would tell the parent and
yeah,
talk it out.
yeah. And I'm assuming that probably an ethics committee might have someone at least trained, if it's albeit maybe not a
Mhm.
psychologist, but at least maybe a social worker or someone that's skilled, that can kind of help facilitate that sort of approach. But it's a matter of acceptance. And the bottom end of the day, it's just when the parent is comfortable with accepting. And I think that now with these sort of other factors, I think it might put some resistance and might push forward or maybe delay the process of acceptance. Ultimately, I think it will come to the point where she will have acceptance. And I'll be honest with you, Linda. I mean, I don't think, if I had to say right now, the odds are stacked of this being reversible. I don't think so, But the thing that gets me is the time and the fact that you never know. I mean,
Right.
only the man upstairs knows, to be honest. At least that's my
Mhm.
opinion. But it'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see what happens. I mean, what happens with this case? Very, very controversial case for sure. Like I said,
Right.
I'm surprised no one else is talking. I mean, not many folks are talking about this case. This is a case that I just heard about. I got like a little, on your YouTube, you have these little posts like on your community. Like,
Yeah.
I got a little post
Yeah.
saying that so-and-so.
I mean,
Yeah, the
yeah,
bottom
suggestions.
yeah, kind of stuff. And it said, brought this case up, this name up. I was like, wow, this is going to be a really interesting case to talk about. And so far, I think we're having a good, interesting discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very good point, though. Any other thoughts? Anything else you want to say? Anything else on your mind?
No, I just think it's super sad. And I would, if anybody came to me and said that was up, I'd say you need to go talk to a professional.
Now, if you
Talking
were,
about-
I hate to put you on the spot, but if you were the mom right now, what would you do?
I would probably take him off of life support. I would probably, what I normally do is because doctors can't say what they would do, I normally put it, whenever I ask somebody who is working me, I would say, well, what would you do if your child was in this situation? And then I would probably follow what the doctor would do. So I would ask you, well, what would you do if your child was going through this?
And all the doctors, and all the doctors later are telling you that it's more or less there's no signs of potential recovery.
Right. And if they said, if this were my child, I would take him off of life support, then I would, if I still didn't want to, I'd probably talk it through with a psychologist or psychiatrist, and then to prepare myself, because that's what I do.
Yeah. Allie Jo mentioned a very great point earlier in the stream. I'm sure she's still with us, but the fact that, is there an ethics committee here, a panel, and it'll be nice to see exactly what is the main reason or the resistance coming from mom, and kind of targeting that and evaluating that. And if it's something like we asked mom, what are your concerns right now of wanting to, take them off life support? If the mom says, well, really, quite frankly, honestly, it is the time thing. I still think, 2 months, 3 months is not long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would be nice to know exactly, can you at least, I know you
right.
can't, but maybe can you give us a broad number of what seems reasonable for you? And if they go, well, maybe like 6 months or something, or then maybe making a compromise, meeting halfway, or setting like a little soft, kind of deadline or something, not too abrasive, but something kind of work together. I think to find out exactly what's causing the mom to kind of really, really have this sort of, is it just the fact that she's the mother and she wants, to fight for a baby boy? Is it a time thing? Is it something she might have heard? Maybe
I would think, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think any time is long enough for a mom.
Mm.
I really don't. I think if it went a year out, she still would think, well, give me 6 months more. Give me another year.
That's a good point.
So I don't know. I would probably be in denial too.
Yeah. It's and honestly, this is still in, I'm just looking at it from a psych perspective because I'm a psychiatrist. But like most disorders in the psych world, not all of them, but a lot of them, for something to be chronic, it's got to be past the 6-month phase. So to me, this is kind of like acute, usually like a month or so. So this is kind of in between, like the
right.
acute, even up to 3 months. So this is kind of like right now we're heading now towards like the subacute phase, in between like acute and chronic. So what I'm trying to say is I think we're still in sort of like the gray kind of early sort of phases. So I don't like to put deadlines or hard, whatever, but to me, like 6 months, it seems like reasonable. Okay, we're now 6 months into this and there's no improvement. Then, okay, but you're right though. I mean, for a mom's eternal bond and love for a child, there are no time limits. There are no time sort of factors. But you never know though. It might be that if she keeps visiting him in the hospital, talks to more people and realizes, okay, sees him there lying there day in and day out, internalizes that after a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, she might say, okay, it might just finally hit her and say, okay, this is the end. While she kind of seeks spiritual, guidance and so on. But very good points though. Very, very good points. I'll be honest. I would hate to make the decision. I mean, for me, a mom situation, I mean, anyone would. And it's just
that'd be horrible.
Yeah. But interesting takes though, nonetheless. Is there anything else you want to chime about this case? Anything else you had in your mind?
No. Is anybody else waiting?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the link is now pinned for anyone who wants to jump on, and so on. Did you want to still hang up here or what? It's up to you.
It's still on YouTube, right?
Yeah, this is YouTube.
I want somebody else to talk. So
okay.
I'm gonna pull up YouTube. But I did have a question. Have you watched Dr. Klaukenflecken?
I don't know who that is. I'm not sure who that is.
Oh, he is. That's his TikTok YouTube name. He's he's a ophthalmologist and he does short skits. So you should go look because his one of his big recurring skits is all of the different doctors have to come visit the psychiatrist. So you should check him out because they're very short.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. For sure. I'll definitely check it out.
Okay.
Cool.
Klaukenflecken.
Okay. I saw your post earlier about definitely writing down, check it out for sure.
I will join again on YouTube right now.
Cool. All right.
Okay. Thanks
for coming up. Appreciate it. All right. Very good. Well, that's Linda. All right. Great. Good points you brought up for sure. And as always, anyone wants to pop up, you can. We just got a little more time here left. No worries. And let me just go back to the comments where I left off. But yeah, great points. You guys are definitely, hit it hard. Okay, so let me go ahead and go back to where I left off here as you continue the show here. All right, where are we at? Here we go. Yeah, sorry about that. The week show. I'm not sure the week show is here, but the good news is it'll still be here. We'll post it later on. You can watch here. Okay, so the week show says there definitely can be suffering. I was in a coma on life support for 10 days in 2020, and it was the most traumatic thing. I had to be restrained because the answer was inadequate, and I was awake. Wow. Okay, I hear stories like that a lot, and my hat goes out. My hat goes out to you. Literally, my hat goes out to you. But wow, 10 days in 2020. To be in the hospital in general is just can be very traumatic with all the you're in a foreign environment, foreign bed. Foreigners kind of coming in and out of your room you don't even know, just the beeps and the clicks and the whistles and so on. So definitely all praise to folks who go through that, and much respect and much love for anyone dealing with any sort of medical issues and so on, acute and or chronic. But here though, he's on a ventilator. This is something I can't argue against because he had the experience. This gentleman, the weak chum, that's a male or female, has had the experience of being in a coma. I'm not sure. I'm assuming was on a ventilator, was on life support. So I'm guessing was on a ventilator. Traumatic thing. Had to be restrained. Doing anesthesia inadequate. Okay. I'm hoping though in his case, the anesthesia will be adequate and hopefully he'll be peacefully sleeping and so on. At least that's a thought and so on. Okay. But man, God bless you. I feel sorry to endure that. All right. Here we go. Linda DeGraff says, my son's best friend owns MMA gym. Sorry, maybe. Oh, okay. Sorry. I said boyfriend. Okay. That's what I thought you meant. BF is usually, okay. BFF is best friend forever, but BF is boyfriend for some reason. Why is that the case, by the way? Why is BF boyfriend and BFF is best friend forever? How did BF change from boyfriend to best friend all of a sudden? I don't know. Okay. The Toyos work out with something. Man, okay. My goodness. They trained that young. Wow. Okay. And you would have thought that Rapacchio's Karate Kid was too young. I think Daniel, what was it, Rousseau, was that his name, was 16 in this movie. I don't know. But anyways, what am I talking about? They have karate. I mean, my best friend has his daughter is like 8 or 9, and she's doing like, I think she's like almost a black belt or something. Anyways, yeah. Okay, here we go. Linda says, that's so weird. I'm only one coming to the chat. No worries. We got some other folks here chilling. A lot of folks are just kind of probably background painting or doing whatever. So it's all love here. It is all love here. Okay, all right. It's all love here. Heather says, week show. I woke up from a news comic 7 years ago. I too was strapped down. They said I was fine. Man. Okay. So that's like I got to defer to the folks that have been through it, as I have not. I see, but hopefully, again, like I said, he's in a peaceful state with anesthesia and just in a coma. Just kind of calm and so on. I hate to see him suffering. Okay, the week show. Are you okay now? Yes, I agree. Hopefully, you're okay. All right. Let me go through the comments here. We're a little behind. We're way behind. Okay, I'm reading comments. I'm not able to get to the keyboard much today. All right. Yes. What would he not be recorded? See, I don't know. Maybe he was recording it, but they didn't obviously show the footage, right? So who knows? But that's a good point, though. Maybe it wasn't a TikTok challenge. But they didn't mention anything about depressive state or depression or anything like that. So it sounds like it was some sort of challenge of some sorts, but I don't know if I'm sure. Okay. Lithograph, I generally don't want to dominate the chat. No worries. It's all good. Wow, I did not know that. Yes, it's a very difficult position to be on. Much respect to you. My hat goes out to you also, Linda, for being in this position. Okay, it's more unless he was practicing beforehand and yet recording. Yeah. Who knows? I sometimes when I do record these videos, I'll kind of do some takes or whatever, but a lot of times I just go straight to it, All right, we'll take care of the rest. Yes, Holly, happy holiday for the July. Let's keep going. I'm enjoying this input. Yes, thank you so much. Bull. I appreciate that. I can't imagine. I agree. It's a very tough decision. God bless her parents. God bless anyone involved in this case. Or has been through this. Okay, thanks so much. Good to know. My chats appreciate it. I always go back with PJ and always want to this. His old habits die hard, I guess. Right on. Okay, it's a point. Okay, here we go. Thanks for clarifying. I worked in neuro rehab for a while, so hoping I remember it right. No problem, Jane. No problem. Right on. Okay, here we go. Linda. Okay, yes, this is the name. Okay, let me write this down here. I've never heard of this. Dr. Glau. Sounds like glaucoma. Glaucoma, Flecken. Feelings, bro? Nope, I have not, but I will definitely wrote down. I will definitely check it out. Thank you so. Oh yeah, here we go now. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Here we go. No problem. Anytime, any problem. Here we go. And not that I don't. This definitely will be a 7-hour marathon, but definitely we'll keep going though. As long as there's feedback and so on, we'll keep going. It's a good case, interesting case, a sad case. I wish I didn't have to talk about it, but it's good discussion though, for sure. I think it's better than talking about the YouTuber that will harass constantly the other people and why drama, blah, blah, blah. All right. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we got that. Thank you so much, Heather. I appreciate that. Man, you rock. You rule. Thank you. Yes, thank you. All right. I've heard about patients. James says, I heard patients being on ventilators needed to be sedated due to hallucinations. Probably is a case in the brain. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of hallucinations reflect around like for example, the olfactory lobe. Can have hallucinations there. Usually brainstem's mostly though primitive sort of like I said, breathing, heartbeat, heart rate, that kind of thing. And the hallucinations are probably related to the anesthetics, is my guess. Is that what you're referring to? Okay. Can you guys, who's this guy right here? All right. Yes. Okay, cool. Linda says, Psych Guy, finally, I know, right? Finally. This is a good test also to kind of test it out. I'm still new at this. I'm still learning and so on. So thank you so much for putting my patience. Good. Okay, perfect. Okay, here we go. Oh, sorry about that. I hope you didn't get much buffering. Hopefully it's back on with you. Oh, okay. Oops. Hopefully when you restream this later on, you'll see the conversation because Linda did have a lot good points to bring up. So hopefully you can kind of hear what she had to say for sure. All right. Losing your parents Jane says losing your parents has a name. Orphan, losing a child has no name because. Ooh, good point. I never thought about that. Very, very philosophical there. Losing your parents has a name. Orphan, losing a child has no name. Yeah, I can imagine. Especially a child that you thought was supposed to outlive you, right? Because by the time it's his or her time to go, you'll have long gone, right, from this earth, or that's normally how it works. Linda, damn, I'm the conversation buffering only after he out of the call. Is it me? Oh, sorry. Hopefully you got it fixed. Yes. Okay. So that's that. Okay. Confirmation. Okay. Here we go. No worries about the checkout. That's no problem. Okay. Here we go. All right. Good. Probably case. Good. Okay. Don't hear. Okay. All right. I'm kind of curious. What would you guys do if anyone's kind of brave? Here's my answer. If I was in the situation, I would probably. This is what I would do. Okay. Like I said before, if you're joining to this case, I would probably say, hey, look. And my answer is not correct, by the way. I would say I understand. I get it. How you're saying, the brain is irreversible. I understand. However, I'm just holding on to the hope, especially with this other doctor that presented from the United States. All these examples of folks who thought they were dead, but they turned it around. It's a time, maybe give it a little more time. I still think 3 months is still kind of a little bit kind of in the subacute phase. Maybe give it a little more time and seeing if anything happens. I understand about spontaneous movements. I understand about your data you're presenting here. But so I would probably go ahead and just see where the courts take us, see where the fight goes. I wouldn't cave in now because the last thing you want is the what ifs, what could have been, especially with someone with a mother with potential denial that would affect anyone. But what would you guys do? Would you go ahead and decide to go ahead and just stop it right now in terms of the life support, or would you just continue at some point and stop? I would probably continue at some point. I would stop. That's what I would do. Maybe I'll put a poll. Maybe. Well, that I don't know. A poll will be kind of. Well, maybe I won't put a poll. That might be kind of a little bit kind of rough, especially with the holiday weekend and so on. But what would you got? Does anyone have any thoughts? Anyone want to go ahead and what they would do? I would probably continue, but give it at least a finite limit. And maybe the mom in her mind has a thought that maybe she does have sort of a soft time frame, like I was talking to Linda earlier. Maybe not. But then again, I don't know. Maybe it's a mom that, like Linda said, mothers, it could be possible that she may not have. So I would probably try to talk to the mom a little more and figure out. But if I was in her situation, I would probably just see where it goes. And at some point, though, give it. Blood on Mom says, I would consider quality of life considerably. Very good point, too. The question is also, you're actually great point. Even if, say, it does come out, the reality is probably the quality of life won't be that great. But then again, you never know. I mean, how can we? But you're absolutely right. If it's brainstem, injury of any sorts, in this case, an anoxic injury, the quality of life is going to be very, very poor. And would he have wanted that? Would anyone want that? So that's a very good point to think about that. I was just kind of thinking about the psychological well-being in regards to the potential not to say mom's needs oversee the son, but the bond is so strong. And any good mother would want to fight. And I don't know, but maybe I'm a little biased, the fact that I've never been on an event. So I don't know the entire experience. So now some folks are in the chat who mentioned that there could be potential, it's not as one would think that it's very peaceful, but I'm hoping that they're over. I would basically stress, hey, look, I mean, maybe we should get a little more time, but please, can you just put them as sedated, as knocked down and comfortable as possible, which I'm sure they're doing. But then again, though, I mean, Bulldog Mom has a great point. Quality of life. It's a tough one. Yes. Mom should be rushed, but I don't know how to. Yeah, how do you set a time limit? It's a very good question. How do you set a time limit? Yeah, mom should be rushed. Let me think about this. Yeah, like I said to Linda earlier, if it was like 6 months out, then I think we'd be having a different discussion today. The fact that we're only like 3 months, I still think it's kind of. How do you set a time limit? The only way is just through communication and talking. Just maybe forming a special committee, an ethics committee, maybe bringing in some folks that have been in similar situations like what the mom was dealing with. I'm sure a lot of folks have personal stories, maybe not as young as this child, but similar to like maybe their parents or something, or family members, or even like COVID. I mean, COVID's been frequent out there in the news lately over the past 2 years or so, 3 years. And a lot of folks have had to be in that situation where their loved ones were placed on the ventilator. And I'm sure there are a lot of folks who their loved ones on the ventilator and may have not made it out, but they're on the ventilator hanging out for 3 months or so, 6 months. So maybe a situation like that, similar to this, to say, look, my loved one was in the situation. I know what you're dealing with because I was in the same position as you were, and talking out and processing it with his mother, his family. But you're right. I don't know how to set a time limit. I mean, I think the more universality there is in regards to folks that can understand, or the mother can see that they can see your position. I think the more folks that can kind of, the mother can relate to, I think it's going to more have an impact, as opposed to the eggheads and the doctors and providers that are, telling her all this, but their mom's mind's thinking, hey, how can you relate to me? Have you had a daughter or son in this situation? Oh, no, you probably have not. Then what are you talking about? So maybe some familiarity or, something. But you're right. How do you set a time limit? It's a very hard question. I don't think you really can. I think the mother, if she's going to have one, has already had one kind of in her back of mind, or maybe over time, maybe influenced by others, her close family members, who just kind of nicely and gently say, hey, maybe we should start looking at, okay, how long we should go ahead and let this continue on, that have more influence than, say, like the doctors or the judges or, the lawyers or whoever not. That's the only way you can kind of reach out, at least I'm thinking, logically speaking, in order to convince to set a time limit. I don't know how else you go ahead and set up a time limit for this. But that being said, though, sometimes it also can be from the higher power above, and maybe she might, you never know. If she's heavily religious, maybe one day she may talk to God, and maybe God may give her answers in her prayers, and kind of tell her when the time is right. The question is, when will that be? Who knows? All right. Well, let's see here. Is there anything else here in this case? I think everyone is out by the pool, by the beach, 4th of July, and so on. Is there anything else? Let me see if I'm missing anything here. I think we covered it all. I think this case was not to go ahead and point anyone in a negative light. This is not to go ahead and blame anyone for this happening. Blame the mom. No. This is not to go ahead and this is all completely demonetized. There's no super chats. This is not the profit at all. Just for discussion. And a lot of ethics involved. Yes, it was pretty controversial. Probably one of the more controversial topics I think we talked about at all on this channel. And I think a lot of folks, it kind of hit home, or at least familiarity with being in this sort of field, or having experience being in the healthcare field. And I've had to deal with some of these cases, not a lot, but some, being a psychiatrist when I was consulted. But yeah, all right. Well, we are hitting, I guess, 2 hours into this, and I guess maybe we just go ahead then and call it. Let me see if there's anyone. We went through all the comments. I'm all commented out here. I have nothing else to talk about in this case. Really, nothing more to say. Thanks, guys, everyone, for joining. I appreciate it. It's been a great, productive stream. To be continued. This is going to be continued on. When was the next thing? I think it was July 12th or July 11th or 12th. I believe it was when the next hearing is going to be. So I might kind of, keep up with this. I might later on, maybe another video. Maybe if not, probably definitely in the community tab. Maybe put some comments and so on. Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate this, Bulldog. I think so. I mean, I think it's been a great conversation. Kind of a very somber. No problem, Linda. I appreciate that. A very kind of somber kind of feeling. And thanks for those showing up, to everyone out here showing up. And thanks for coming on panel, Linda. Appreciate it. And plenty more of this kind of stuff to come. Plenty more of these types of topics. Fun and, other informative kind of intellectual type topics and ethical discussions. And as always, any comments, you can always put them down below in the comment section. Of course, you like what you saw, don't forget to like the video, thumbs up it. And if you like the content of this video or other videos, definitely subscribe. Like I said, more to come. And hey, definitely, God bless, like I said, as parents. Archie, hopefully he turns around. We'll see. Stay strong. Don't feel pressured, Mom. Just keep doing what you're doing. And even though there's other parties that are kind of maybe seem you're pushing or whatever, definitely my advice is kind of do what's in your heart, do what's best for your, if anyone, your son the best. And of course, haven't evaluated Archie or haven't evaluated the family. It's plugged into it. So I'm just basically just an external source interpreting this case and so on. And no worries, Linda. Oh, no worries, Jane. It's okay. No problem. I was basically saying that I'm going to probably wrap things up now, as it seems like we're pretty much done. I think we talked all we can about this case, kind of dissected as much as possible, and we'll kind of see where the chips fall. We'll continue to follow this case for sure. And sorry that your phone battery ran out, but definitely if anyone has missed some of the content or wants to catch this on replay, it's going to be available on replay. And till then, happy 4th of July, wherever you are. Hope your week goes well. And we'll catch another Psych Guy live. When's the next one? Not quite sure when, but it's definitely coming around the corner for sure. That's for sure. Till then, you guys take care. Have a good. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Won't leave until I. Jado, I think ultimately it's something you wouldn't know how you'd react until you're in the situation. But I think most parents would fight as much as possible. Yeah, look, I mean, great point. I hear you. I'm there with you. I definitely no one would know. I hope that no one should. Know how to deal with the situation. And like I said before, I think definitely just keep fighting as long as possible. And I think still, even with the body, Archie's, being still in the bed is 3 months out. The time still seems a little bit kind of, acute and so on. At least subacute, not yet to that point where I think it's. But that's just my own opinion. I mean, again, I'm not the one seeing him. I don't see how he's reacting. I'm assuming this is myself basing himself being comfortable and on, sedated and really not in any sort of distress. Now, if he looks very uncomfortable, if he looks like he's suffering, if there's reports where he's like, then that's a different story. It'll kind of sway me more towards like, okay, hold on here. Maybe, maybe it's not in his best interest. But again, these are my thoughts. Again, just based on stuff that, again, I haven't really fully interviewed anyone or anything like that, but just what I would say. Thank you so much, Linda, and I'm sorry, Jane, and Linda left, and everyone out there reviewing. And so we'll see you next time, okay? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's us too. Actually, now I think it's 0. So basically, all right, cool. We're done. Thanks, guys. See you next video. Take care. Bye. Peace.